Hi everyone, welcome to Witch Sauce. Today we're going to be doing a tarot reading that is going to look into how the person on your mind saw you when they had first met you versus how they see you now, and we're going to compare and contrast those feelings and those energies and look into what the tarot and oracle cards have for us today. And hi buddy. And so let's get right into it. If you like this reading, if it resonates, please like, comment, and subscribe. It helps me out a lot as I try to grow this little channel. And thank you, as always, for joining me here today. And I hope to see you again very soon. So let's get into it. Meditate on a pile, make your selection, and I'll see you in just a bit. Hi Pile 1, welcome to your reading. Like the title indicates, today we're going to be looking at how the person on your mind saw you when they had first encountered you versus how they see you now. I have my cat assisting me today, and by assisting I mean probably chewing through the lights that I have set up here, so hopefully that doesn't happen. And he only interferes very minimally. So let's get right into it. Let's have a look at how this person saw you when they had first encountered you. So we have the Page of Pentacles. We have Death. We have the Three of Cups in reverse. And then we have the beautiful High Priestess. So let's get into it. Okay, so before getting into the oracle cards, I can tell from the Page of Pentacles, you're somebody who might have been at the beginnings of a new career or a new financial endeavor or an endeavor that would lead to financial success. So this can be anything: career, new job, a new academic endeavor for which you hope to eventually make money. But with this card, I really get the sense that you may have started off as somebody who was quite, perhaps you're from a place that's more rural, or perhaps you're from a place that is not as high-packed and energetically dense as a city, and you moved into a city to study, or you moved away from a former place to a new place so that you can get an education or begin a new career. So it's very likely that you are kind of experiencing that transition, especially with this Death card here, which does indicate transition, change, and overcoming, I guess, a painful period in your life to grow and develop and just become a better version of yourself. With the Three of Cups in reverse and the High Priestess, I get the sense that you're a bit of a hermit, or somebody who really likes to retreat into your peaceful state of mind, which is likely a place, like, if this is an academic or job related individual that you're thinking about, which I get a sense that it is, you are quite hermited and locked away for a long period of time when you and this person shared a space together. So for example, if this is an academic setting, it's very likely you did not go out for, drinks or to party a lot. You really like to kind of be in your own space and focusing on cultivating what you came there to do. So if this is a work environment, you're the kind of person who at 5 p.m. when your shift is over, you're going home and you're focusing on healing yourself and repairing yourself and getting yourself ready for the next day, or doing some additional work, additional study, and really focusing on moving yourself forward in that way. So you are not somebody who necessarily goes out, socializes, and parties. So I think this person viewed you as somebody who was quite responsible in that sense. Not that, going out and partying is irresponsible at all, but I think that you're somebody who really prioritized taking that time for yourself, taking that time to reflect and sit back, and also, trying to stay away from, so I'm hearing that some of you just kind of stay away from that scene because of previous bad experiences. Some of you stay away from that kind of high energy, high density, lots of people in one crowded space for reasons related to anxiety or social anxiety. Either way, the reasons aren't necessarily important. This person really viewed you as somebody who was at the beginnings of their career, going through an important transformative change. You likely did not appreciate social events and kind of involve yourself in social events, and you were somebody who was quite mysterious with that High Priestess, quite introverted and focused on developing your own personal growth and your own personal self. So we also have By the Book, which I think confirms that you're somebody who, like I said, is quite diligent, a bit of a rule follower, not in a negative way at all. Some of the people who are, rule followers tend to, make it very, very far and prosper because they take a step back from all of the fun stuff for a period of time, only to grow themselves, get the career they want, and then they get to have fun and unwind. And I think that you're that kind of person. Like when it comes down to crunch time, you're all in, you're focused, you're trying to get the job done. Also, you have Hold Your Vision. So again, I think that this person viewed you as somebody who was very disciplined and focused on achieving the goals that you set out to achieve. So if you traveled far to go to a school, you know that you're there to make that time count. And the other thing we have is Nourish. And then we have Joy. So with this Joy card, I get the sense that you're very funny. And although you're quite introverted, when they did spend time with you, you made them laugh. And you were quite clever and creative and incredibly smart. And your interactions were very, very lengthy. They were about a whole variety of subjects because you're highly, highly intelligent, smart. You know a lot about a lot. And they love talking to you, and you also made them laugh. You brought them joy. I'm hearing that when you enter a room, like they get excited that you're there. And like, again, I'm getting a lot of classroom visuals, as in you walking into a classroom, and I'm hearing that like whenever you would get sick and have to miss a day of class and you wouldn't be in class, they get really upset. And it would bum them out, and they know that they're going to have a bad day in class because you're not going to be there to make them laugh or to say something witty in class and make the whole class laugh. This doesn't have to be a classroom setting. I get the sense that some of you are in academia, probably secondary education, post-secondary education, sorry. And this person might have a few classes with you, but that's not necessarily the case for all of you. I also get the sense that if you work with this person, the same thing applies. Like if you have a meeting and you're busy and you can't make it to the meeting and they're not seeing you at the meeting, they get a little bit, I guess, crestfallen. They get a little bit bummed out when you're not there. So what I get a sense, so in terms of how they used to see you, they saw you as somebody who was at the very beginnings of their career, just really diving into putting in all of that effort into growing and prospering within their career or their academia, or in a business venture as well. I'm focused so much on academia and careers, but business ventures as well. If this is somebody who you have a project with, the same thing applies. But you're very diligent. You, again, I don't get the sense that you like to do a lot of social events, or at least not at this stage in your life. You are quite focused on developing yourself and developing both your academia or your work-based skills and sharpening those skills. But additionally to that, you are somebody who was quite invested on fostering their own inner peace and their own inner world and their subconscious, and with that High Priestess. So you're you're just mysterious and fascinating. And with the By the Book, Hold Your Vision, Nourish, I just get the sense that you are somebody who is very, very diligent. And in your job, you kind of stand out, and in your career or in class, in your academic ventures, you stand out. You really captivate people's attentions with how much you know, how intelligent you are. I'm hearing you're not really standoffish. You're very humble. It's almost something that you're not even cognizant of. You're not aware of how much, like how impressive you are is what I'm hearing, just both to the people you work with, the people you work around. You're quite impressive in a very subtle, muted way. And also with that Joy card, I just think that you're somebody who's very funny and brilliant and dazzling as well in that sense. So that's what I have for how they saw you then. So let's see how they see you now. We have the Ace of Cups, Six of Swords, the Three of Wands, and the Hanged One, or the Hanged Man, in reverse. Okay, so you've got that Ace of Cups there, which I think if you guys know tarot, you know that that is usually the soulmate card, or a card that symbolizes a great affection for someone. So they feel very strongly towards you now. They have this overwhelming feeling. It could be love if this person is a friend. It's just love. It's just pure, unadulterated love. And the kind of love that the Ace of Cups symbolizes isn't it's not a simple love. It's a complex, highly not intelligent, but gosh, I'm trying to think of the word. You know, there's arrows, and then there's the different types of love, but the love that I'm thinking of is the one that comes for when people are highly developed and self-aware and mature, and they approach love as something they understand, is not something that you can't grab onto that person and keep them forever, and that's okay. It's a very mature, developed, adult kind of love for you, and a well-rounded kind of love, because I get the sense with the Six of Swords that you've probably been through a lot of things together and carried each other through those hard and challenging times. If not, then they've definitely come to you with problems and looked to you to help them solve those problems and those issues. But currently there's some stagnation going on with the Hanged One in reverse. That really just means delay, barriers, things getting in the way of you coming together in a meaningful way. There's definitely something blocking it. And with Three of Wands, it could be distance. You could be in a long distance now. Perhaps you finished off your education together and you've split apart and you've moved apart, and now with the ongoing circumstances in the world, you can't see each other, you can't bridge that gap, and there's just this incredible barrier between you and them, is what I'm getting the sense of. And I think that you're trying to break, this person really, really wants to break down that barrier, but they can't, and there are things in the way. It doesn't have to be the current global climate. It could be other issues going on, financial, other restrictions that are put in place for them. But either way, they can't seem to come closer to you. And especially with the backs being turned, it could be that you have had a fight and you have not been able to resolve it. There might have been a dispute, or things were left off on a negative note. And for that reason, they're constantly thinking about it, worrying about it, trying to figure out what to do. But they seem to be unable to bring themselves to that point where they can resolve that discord between the two of you. That's just one example. It doesn't have to be discord, but I do see that there's a lot of turned backs being turned here. So maybe you two aren't speaking to each other for other reasons as well. But I do have the Loyal Heart here, which I'm going to put right next to the Ace of Cups. We have Prosperity Lies Ahead. We have, Build. And actually, after the Build card, I kept hearing the word build when I was shuffling, so I was quite surprised and not surprised to see Build come up. For it, they want to build something with you. I think maybe you two have talked about maybe building a house together or building some kind of enterprise together. There's a high focus on building something in this connection. So it's likely that you two, like I said, if you are romantically involved with one another, it could be, you know, building your forever home or building something that that could last and connect you two forever. If this is a friendship, they really want to build something with you. They want to perhaps create some kind of economic enterprise, a business possibly, or, you know, I'm hearing sanctuary. Maybe some of you folks want to build like an animal sanctuary together, but there's something that the two of you really want to do together, and the focus is on building it. Like, I'm getting a really strong sense that you want to build something from scratch physically, not, you know, metaphorically. Like, physically you want to build something together. And the other thing which makes me think that you guys might have a falling out, you have the memory forget me not card, and I got the sense that they're really worried that you're going to forget them, or set them aside, or cast them aside in some way, which again, I think is probably due to the space between the two of you, whether you guys are still in communication, or if you guys are not speaking to each other because you had a falling out. I think for some of you, the falling out is applicable. For others of you, there's just a significant concern that the physical distance is going to drive a wedge between you two, and you will not be able to reconcile that wedge. They're really worried about you forgetting them, or forgetting the things and the plans that you had together. But you also have the Prosperity Lies Ahead card, which to me makes me think that they're really focused. They know that this, at the end of the day, is going to be prosperous for the two of you. You have so much potential here. You have Loyal Heart, you have the Ace of Cups. There's so much love between you two. Again, I think, sorry, whether or not this is a romantic connection or a friendship connection, there's so much love between the two of you, and quite, like I said, a very mature adult approach to love, meaning that if the two of you are separated, it's not as though that's it, that you've moved on and the friendship or romance or love is over between the two of you. They understand that you can't keep someone tied down and things come and interfere, but there's also a fear on a very subconscious and primal level, that fear that no matter how mature we get, we can't control. And that fear is that you will move on, you'll find someone else, you'll start to build your dreams with someone else, and you'll forget about them. And I think that is due to some of the distance that's taking place between the two of you currently. But overall, I do think that there is quite a lot of happiness ahead for the two of you if you do choose to reconnect and keep pushing this forward. For some of you, this could unfortunately take a very, very long time. I'm getting like flashbacks to The Notebook. These cards really make me think of The Notebook and the relationship between Noah and Allie. I think it's Allie. It's been a while since I've seen it. I know his name is Noah, can't remember her name, but their relationship, right? The fact that they kind of came together, they had this very strong connection, and in the building of the house in The Notebook as well. I think that's probably why I'm thinking of it. And the fact that there was this separation that took a very long time and took years, and this fear that someone's going to forget you, so you write to them and you try to keep connected to them, but there's this just burden and barrier after burden and barrier that's keeping you two separated, until eventually at last you come together and you get to do the things that you wanted to do easily without that interference. This is what this pile really makes me think of. And like I said, it's not limited to a romantic connection. You could just be the really, really great friends, and this is a friendship that you're fostering with another person. Either way, that is what I have for you, pile one. Thank you so much for coming and watching this video with me today. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you would like. I would like to see you again on this channel. And once again, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Hello Pile 2, welcome to your reading. As the title of this video suggests, we're going to be looking at your person and how they had initially seen you versus how they see you now. So we're going to get right into it and start with the pile describing how they saw you when they first met you. So we have the Four of Voices, also known as the Four of Swords in the traditional Rider-Waite. We've got the Knight of Emotions, which is the Knight of Cups. We've got the Queen of Voices, the Queen of Swords. And then we've got the Eight of Emotions, which is the Eight of Cups. Okay, so starting off, so one of the things that I'm getting quite strongly here is that you have been through your share of difficulties before. So when you met this person, it's very likely that you were leaving a previous connection that did not serve you, that you had to walk away from, that was unsuccessful, painful, challenging. Maybe you had to walk away from a person who was not appreciating you. Maybe you were just dealing through a very difficult period in your time, at the time in your life. Sorry. I'm a little distracted. My cat is decided to cause chaos to the right of me, so I'm gonna try to focus. But that is the sense that I'm getting from you. And what happened was this person charged into your life. It's very likely with the Knight of Cups that this was a romantic connection that burned, just burned quickly. This person rushed in full of emotion, full of vigor, full of promise, and they really strongly desired you. And you also have the Queen of Voices, the Queen of Swords, which to me really makes me think of somebody who is very steadfast, strong-willed, empowered, no nonsense, no bullshit kind of person. You may not have been that person to start off. You were likely someone, someone who was more likely represented by Cups energy, softer, more emotional, welcoming, intuitive, nurturing. But over time and through your experiences in life, you've learned that doesn't work. And you had to build up the necessary walls so that you can defend yourself against people who are seeking to take advantage, romantic situations that were not fostering the best in you. And you needed to take a step back and really focus in on how you wanted to defend your peace, your inner peace, from people who wanted to take advantage of it or to profit off of it. At your detriment. So you really became, in their view, a very strong, forthright, and powerful person, quite intimidating to those around you, because as that softness fell away and was turned into more resilient, stone or enamel, you really started to kind of intimidate people, because where you were saying yes, you started to say no. So you really started to put up those boundaries because you realized people are taking advantage of me. That is no longer a good thing. I'm tired of being soft and welcoming because people just enter my life and they rip me apart just so that they can get something out of it. So you started to really reevaluate that and take a step back. And the other thing is, it's very likely that that is what happened in this connection as well, that this person, well-intentioned, came into your life trying to woo you, trying to make you feel desired, because they did desire you, but something happened where you felt like this was not going to work. Whether they did something or said something or acted in a manner that you thought was incompatible with who you've become, you likely had to take a step back, because you do have that Eight of Cups, which means walking away from something because it no longer serves you, because there's better out there. I do think this was a very short-lived connection, and I can't tell who is really at fault here. It's not very apparent, but I do get a sense that something happened here where you needed to walk away. So they saw you as someone who, they knew that you were going to do that. It's not like it came as a surprise. They likely tried to hide what they did from you, or they tried to downplay what they did out of fear, knowing that you're not somebody who's going to tolerate this. So that I do hear that they were quite fearful, but ultimately it was too little too late, or you had established these boundaries before and they knew not to knock them down, but they did anyway. And I don't think it was a very malicious action. It could have been, but I do feel like it was more so indicative of immaturity. And you really felt like they were too immature for where you were at or for what you wanted. So that is what I'm getting off the bat. So let's see what the Oracle cards have to say. So we have Unfinished Symphony. So once again, this reiterates to me that this is something that started off very quickly and fizzled out just as fast. It was just kind of a moment of lots of intense energy, lots of fiery energy, but ultimately it did not pan out, and you have this Unfinished Symphony card. Then you have expect powerful change, another eclipse. You have 2 eclipses represented here. And again, I think that speaks to the fact that this connection did not go as far as it should have. It was eclipsed. But also I think with the expect powerful change, I felt like this person, after they messed up, really wanted to change and really wanted to undo the things that they have done, or undo the way that their relationship unfolded. Maybe it was little things that they did, like they couldn't, you know, remember the anniversaries, or they missed a birthday, or they didn't show up when they were needed, and they kept doing this over and over, and you just got fed up and you wanted them to grow up and be mature and do the things that they should have known to do, but they didn't. But ultimately they fell short. So the other card I have is ephemeral, which again represents something that is short lasting, very quick. And especially with this flower, I think it's some, you know, it's probable, I don't know too much about this flower, but I'm assuming that it blossoms very quickly and dies very quickly. So I get that sense about this connection that between the 2 of you. And then you have happiness. And I do feel like they feel that your happiness was interrupted. Again, whether it's by their actions or their faults or their flaws, or due to something else that happened to interrupt. But I do feel like there was some responsibility here on their behalf, or perhaps just the 2 of you not being compatible in the way that you wanted that. You wanted someone that you were going to share that relationship with to be compatible with you. So let's see how they see you now. So we've got the 5 of inspiration, the 5 of wands. We've got the 9 of voices, 9 of swords. We've got the 2 of cups. This is such a beautiful 2 of cups too. Then you've got justice in reverse. Yeah, okay. So again, I feel like this is probably an ex-partner. Maybe you 2 were married with that justice card, because I'm sensing maybe legal proceedings were involved in this somehow. But with the 5 of wands and the 9 of swords, there's lots of discord here. Currently, there's a lot of fighting, a lot of strife, a lot of pain, and maybe you're stuck in a legal battle because you have that justice card reversed, which means unfairness. It means injustice. It means a feeling of being slighted or wronged in some way, shape, or form. So you might feel that way, or they might feel that way, but smacked right in the middle of all of that negative energy, you have the 2 of cups. So there is this very sincere love here, this longing and a sense of, I'm hearing, I messed up. There's this understanding that what's happening is due to action or inaction, or maybe just oil and water, 2 people who are incompatible but really are drawn to each other in a karmic way. And this could be a karmic connection for you as well, pile 2, something that you just need to work through, and this could follow you throughout your entire life. Like I said, if it's an ex who has a significant presence in your life or is tied to you in some way, it's very likely you're going to have this back and forth and inside out relationship for a very long time. And I get the sense, like I said, there's a lot of discord here, a lot of fighting, a lot of arguing. And when you 2 run into each other, there's this sense of, okay, I need to get out of here. I don't want to be in the same space as this person. I don't really feel comfortable being around them, because I know that the next thing that's going to happen is a fight or an argument. So quite a lot of tension, negative energy, lots of pain. But what I see out of this for you, pile 2, is that you've become very, very strong. You've become even stronger than where you were before. So if before you were in that Queen of Swords energy where you're becoming more steadfast, more level-headed, more empowered, bold, cutting, now you're even like, now you've become even more, you're becoming an even more mature version of that. So you know when to be soft and you know when to be hard in equilibrium because of this experience or experiences like it, but definitely one of these experiences as well. So now you know how to balance those 2 dualities to yourself with much more ease. but at the same time, you are someone who's quite strong. And again, they know not to mess with you. So even though they might want to push your buttons, they know that that's not going to end well, because they're not going to be receptive to that. They're not going to let me walk all over them. And for that reason, I think that's why the love continues. It's just this utmost respect and almost awe of you, and how bold you are, and how I'm hearing that song, She's So High, High Above Me, Isn't She Lovely? I just get the sense that they've elevated you in their minds as above where they stand, and for that reason, they are cautious around you. So I do think you two push each other's buttons, but there's this sense of camaraderie that is the undercurrent. But there's the deep regret over the fact that the two of you are no longer in that passionate, inflamed stage of your relationship, is what I'm getting. So let's see what else we've got here. We've got poised. Yeah, so that again reiterates to me that you're somebody who's become quite poised, elegant, a very sharpened version of yourself, a clearer version of yourself. So you're not governed by, like with the Queen of Swords, you might be a little bit too sharp, too cutting, but now you've learned how to be the in-between and really assert yourself through elegance and poise. So someone who's, I'm feeling like just really balanced, regal energy, like very queenly energy, where you have to make decisions one way or another, and you do them by kind of meeting your both sides in the middle, like very judicial, very fair and practical. Is how they view you now. Then you have sacred. I do think they think this is a sacred connection, that this is an important connection, and I think maybe you share the same belief. And for that reason, I feel like that's why they really feel like they messed up, or they've misstepped here, or things should not have gone how they've gone. Whether that means anything to you now, that's for you to decide. Then we have believe in the impossible. And it's very interesting because now the moon is uneclipsed, and you have the blue moon here. So I think they're holding out to hope. I think they're really hoping that things can fall back into place. Now, like I said, it's up to you whether that's something you want to pursue or not. That's up to you to weigh those factors. You know, if this is something that is surmountable to you, if the wrongs you've experienced are surmountable and can be dealt with. But I feel like they are hoping for the impossible. They are hoping for the pieces to fit back in together. And they are very much pursuing that and hanging their hat on that. Now, whether that can happen or not, that's up to you. The other thing we have is the patience card. So again, I think this speaks to the fact that they're trying to hopefully in time see this through, and they're hoping that you're going to be patient with them as, you know, they grow and they show you. I'm feeling that they're really trying to show you how much they've changed, and perhaps you're not interested in that anymore, or perhaps you are, but I feel like there's things that they're doing to try to demonstrate to you that they're not going to make the same mistakes again. But again, you do have those cards that symbolize pain and conflict. So I don't know how well they're doing in that regard. Perhaps they're not doing so well. Perhaps they're thinking that they've changed, or they're trying to change. But at the end of the day, it's still so caustic between the two of you that you can't seem to make this work long enough. But overall, I do think they see this as a very important state. I feel like they're really hung up on the fact that you're someone that they've lost and they regret losing you. And for that reason, they're almost zeroed in on you, that anybody else, like they've had partners after you. I get the sense for some of you, this person has had other connections and other people they've been involved with, but they pale in comparison to you, is what I'm hearing, especially with the moon. I'm getting the sense that they pale in comparison to you because you are the moon. There's a lot of moon imagery here, right? And the moon is so glorious and beautiful, and there's nothing like the moon, that they every time they meet someone, they still think that you are that moon. and you're always above them, and you're there, and your presence almost makes everything else seem so small, and everybody else seems so small in comparison to you. But I think that there is just quite a lot of discord and difficulty in this connection. That is really the sense that I am getting. So that's what I have for you, pile 2. Please let me know in the comments below if this reading resonated. Like, comment, and subscribe if you wish. And I really hope to see you again on this channel soon. Hello, pile 3. Welcome to your reading. As the title indicates, we're going to be looking at your person, and we're going to be looking at how they saw you then versus how they see you now, and we're going to compare and contrast that through the cards today. So let's get started. I'm going to start by going through, of course, how they saw you when they first met you using tarot and oracle cards. So let's start. We have the Two of Pentacles. We have the Knight of Pentacles in reverse. We've got the Page of Wands in reverse. And then we have the Hanged Man. Okay, so first and foremost, I believe that this individual met you during a point in your life where you were really navigating and trying to figure out your way, whether this was the beginning of a new job, a new enterprise of some sort, a new academic venture. You were really trying to figure it out and find balance and equilibrium between your material ambitions as well as your spiritual, intellectual ambitions, hobbies, desires, and things like that. So it's very likely that you were just trying to find balance between those two things when they met you. And I think that when they met you, I think that there was a very instant spark and attraction towards you, a draw towards you, a pull. But with that Knight of Pentacles being reversed and the Page of Wands being reversed, I feel like this was all in fantasy. This was all in contemplation, in dreaming and visualizing that desire because it could not physically be achieved. So whatever the case is here, your connection and your relation to one another is not one that's easily achieved. There's definitely reasons why this individual may not have been able to pursue you, and this was all in their mind and they were not acting on it. They felt like they couldn't act on it because the Knight of Pentacles is an action-oriented card. The Page of Wands, again, is this action. There's action built into it, and when they're reversed, it usually means that you're kind of taking a step back. You're playing with the thought of something, but you're not really moving forward. You're not barreling forward because you cannot really do it at the time, and you're really taking a step back and sitting in contemplation. And you also have the Hanged Man here to reinforce that and re-emphasize that. So while there may have been this initial spark or draw towards you, for whatever reason they felt like they could not move towards you, there could be perhaps a power imbalance between the two of you, or at least a power imbalance that they see as a power imbalance between the two of you, whether it's real or not, whether it's imagined or not. But maybe at the time you were starting out, for example, if you worked together, perhaps they were senior to you, or perhaps maybe they're older than you in general, and they feel like, okay, I don't feel like I can pursue this person right now. I want to give them a chance to grow, a chance to realize themselves and actualize their potential before I do anything of that sort. So they really did not feel like it was proper or fair for them to pursue you. They felt like they couldn't. For very practical and logical reasons. And for that reason, they adapted this Hanged Man position where they kind of stood in stagnation and observed you from afar. Maybe they engaged in small talk with you, but really they did not wish to pursue you actively because those cards that are upright to indicate that are reversed in this particular set. So that is what I'm sensing. And I feel like you were also figuring yourself out. So it's a good thing. They were acting out of a very reasonable, practical, logical, and mindful state of respect for you. They wanted you to figure out your way before anything could happen if anything does in fact happen. So I think that's why they had those reservations. So let's have a look at the, wow, I said dream, and we have dream. They definitely, this connection for them exists very much in their dream state, in their fantasy state. They're thinking about it, they're dreaming about it. You might also see them in their dreams. They might be dreaming of you, but ultimately that's the plane on which at this point in your interactions, this connection existed. It was very much in that dream fantasy place and not in an actual place. Then you have be bold and make the first move. So perhaps they wanted you to make the first move. Maybe they felt like it wasn't their place to do that, and they felt it would be more appropriate for you to do so. Like I said, perhaps it's just the setting isn't right, the timing isn't right. They feel out of sorts. They feel like maybe they feel like they're imagining this connection and they feel like it's not really there, and they don't want to ruin something. So for example, if you guys share a friend group, a colleague group, or you're in some kind of setting where there's many people in a community around you, it's very likely they did not want to disrupt that by just kind of being impulsive. And they don't strike me as an impulsive person anyway. I feel like they're somebody who's quite measured and very, very fair in terms of logic and in terms of really evaluating the risks. And I think they're pretty risk averse. I don't think they really like to take huge risks, but they definitely don't like to interfere with their peace and their equilibrium. So I think that they perhaps wanted you to make that first move so that they can kind of reassure themselves that what they're feeling is true and real. But they, again, I don't think that they were prepared to do so at the time. Then we have fork in the road again, right? So going back to this idea that they're kind of split down the middle. They don't know which direction to go into. They don't really know how to approach the subject, whether to do it at all. They might feel like it's a bad idea and a risk that they're not willing to take, and therefore they took a step back in the sense that they really wanted to evaluate this situation from a place of reason and level-headedness instead of impulse. So I do think that they sense this to be a fork in the road. They didn't know which way to go one way or another. And then we have truth. But at the end of the day, there is this desire to speak their truth to you. It's just a question of not knowing how to do it while facing and weighing all of these polarizing thoughts in their head and thinking, okay, well, I do want to say how I feel, or I do want to express how I'm feeling. There's a lot of contemplation and thinking that's going into it, and a significant desire there, but they just don't know how. The timing isn't right. The situation isn't right. They're too insecure and uncertain because likely they want you to make the first move, but you're not. And for whatever reason, they're holding back quite significantly at this stage. So that's really what I'm sensing. I think that they're a very reasonable, level-headed person. There is a desire there, but there's no way of taking that action and propelling it forward. So it all just exists in their mind in this fantasy. For whatever reason, they don't feel like it's appropriate for them to make that step towards you. So let's look at how they feel about you now and what the situation currently is. Okay, so we have Justice. What a beautiful card. And again, symbolizes exactly what I'm talking about. It's the head and the heart and the weighing of these two opposing, well, often opposing sides of our human nature. And again, I think this reiterates to me that they're a very logical person. They very much evaluate the situation and value making level-headed and reasoned decisions, and they don't want to act on impulse. And they also want to do what's right, something that they can feel comfortable with. So perhaps maybe the situation wasn't right because maybe you were in a relationship with someone, or they were in a relationship with someone, or they heard that something about you and they felt like, okay, the timing isn't right. They're going through something, it's inappropriate. Or let me wait this one out. Let me see from afar and evaluate this as best as possible before I do something that could potentially damage what we have built, whether it's camaraderie, respect, and equal appreciation towards each other. So I'm thinking that they definitely are struggling with that head and heart element even now. they're not too sure how to act. Then you have the 5 of Wands, and usually this means discord. But for this pile, I think however you two know each other, whether it's from work, whether it's a friend group, whether it's some other kind of community of people, I feel like there's gossip flying around, and they're quite concerned about the gossip. So I don't think it's between the two of you, but I feel like there's perhaps the setting that you're in is very prone to gossip and prone to chatter. And they're quite concerned that anything that they decide to do is going to enter into that gossip circle, and potentially cause issues between the two of you, some way, somehow. So I feel like they're quite they're trying to be very careful in navigating that, because of whatever situation that you're in could be quite competitive, gossipy, not that nice at times. And the other thing I'm getting a sense of is they might feel like they're competing for your attention as well, that they have to compete with others in order to get you to notice them or turn in their direction. They're not really feeling like they stand out to you as much as perhaps they do if you are thinking about them, but they don't really get that sense, or at least you don't put off that sense. You don't come off that way at all, and for that reason they're really questioning how that is, they're really questioning that feeling. Then we have the Page of Swords. Now this is much more action oriented. So I think that now they're much more inclined to make that move towards you. They're much more inclined to take action. So something maybe has changed recently where perhaps the gap that there existed between you is now being bridged, and they're feeling a little bit more confident in terms of potentially reaching out to you and communicating with you, and maybe giving you some kind of notice that they are around, that they're still hanging around, and they're still thinking about you and reaching out to you in some manner, shape, or form. Maybe right now it's a little safer for them to do so, or at least I'm also hearing that they're getting impatient. I feel like they could have waited back then, but now as time rolls by, they're losing that patience. I feel like being able to hold steady is no longer an option for them. And you also have the Empress card here, and I feel like it's because you very much started to embody this Empress energy, which is a very powerful and incredibly attractive energy. Whether you're a masculine or feminine individual, it's certainly an energy that really is just alluring. I really think of Mother Nature and just like the grandiose beauty of Mother Nature and all of the complexities of it, and how overall it's such a nurturing and abundant, gorgeous force. And I feel like that's how they see you. There's something about you that really is striking, that stands out, and that they feel quite an intense connection to, the way that we feel reverence for Mother Nature. And they have that. I feel like that is why their patience is waning. It's just that they simply cannot wait any longer until they can make that step towards you. So yeah, emotions are running high is the card you have here for how they're currently feeling. Emotions are definitely running high, and I feel like that's also part of why they can't seem to, you may have, I'm hearing the word glow up, and I kind of hate the word glow up, because I feel like it kind of makes it sound like the version of you previously wasn't good enough and you had to like be better somehow for people to appreciate you. But you might have gone through some kind, you may have racked up achievements, you may have racked up accolades, or there's something about you that's making you really come to the forefront, because they're noticing you much more, and it's getting harder for them to ignore your presence. So it could be that you are much more, you've gone through a glow up where you're just more confident, more out there, or you're just achieving more. And at the beginning you were working to build that foundation, but now you're just really, really in their face and striking, and they can't seem to turn their attentions away from you. So for that reason, they can't seem to shut down those parts of themselves that are being called to you. And you also have community. So again, I feel like some of the people, pile 3, you likely have some kind of community or network where this person is included. So that could be why they're really hesitant to messing that up. Could be work, could be academia, could be another group that you are affiliated with together, and they're just really concerned about messing it up. And that's part of why they're so cautious and careful. But at the end of the day, they're really glad that you're part of that community, because they get to keep an eye on you, not in a creepy way, but just they get to know a little bit about what's going on with you. They get to know a little bit, again, through those gossipy channels and that chatter. It's not always negative, right? Sometimes people talk about positive things and they'll say, you know, have you heard that so-and-so has done this incredible thing, or did this really, or, you know, that they're doing this cool thing, or that, you know, there's a lot of positive things that are also flying about, and that community is really kind of keeping you connected, even though you're maybe apart from one another at this time. Then we have protection. And so I do get this sense of protection. Again, I feel like they're protecting themselves really. And I also have pride. So it's very possible that they're afraid that you're going to reject them, or that they're going to make a fool out of themselves, because they do have a sense of pride. And not ego. Pride and ego, I think, are two different things. Ego can be quite a nasty term sometimes, but pride is just really, they don't want to look like an idiot. And so again, I feel like they just don't have enough emanating from you to confidently take that step forward towards you. So they're really very much in the background right now, even still, but there is this elevated sense of urgency, or this desire to kind of come towards you. It's just they're trying to figure out what's the best way of doing that while maintaining all of these other things that they're concerned about in the present moment, and not interfering with those elements of their life and your life as well. But they're definitely just drawn to you. They're definitely thinking about you a lot. It's getting harder and harder for them to keep those things pushed down, bottled up, and it's likely that you're probably going to hear from them very soon. It might not be, you know, like a romantic offer or something that apparent, but they're likely going to dip their toes back into really bringing you and them closer together, and finding reasons to bring the both of you closer together slowly. I think this is going to be a gradual build, because again, I feel like there's a lot of caution here and a lot of desire to be level-headed, logical, and not so fast acting that you're going to jeopardize everything else that has to be weighed and balanced here with those 2 of Pentacles. There's quite a lot of balancing going on, just really not wanting to make a mistake and sacrifice everything else that is important to the both of you. So that is what I have for you, pile 3. Thank you so much for joining me. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you like this reading, and I hope to see you again very soon. Hello, pile 4, welcome to your reading. As the title indicates, we're going to be looking at your person and their impression of you then versus now. Let's see what Insight Tarot and Oracle cards have for you today. So I'm going to start with how they saw you then, and then I'm going to move on to how they see you now. So let's go ahead and begin. So we've got 7 of Wands. We've got 7 of Cups. We've got the 8 of Swords reversed. And then we've got the Empress. Okay, so first and foremost, I feel like they see you as somebody with the 7 of Wands and this 8 of Swords reversed. I feel like you're somebody who's been through quite a lot of crap, and you have found your way, or at least from their perspective when they first met you, is that you have found a way to lay down your roots and your foundation and make a name for yourself and build yourself up out of nothing. And I think also one of the things that they picked up when they have had discussions with you or interacted with you is that you're somebody who had to really overturn feelings of helplessness, I think is the wrong word, but really negative self-talk, feelings of disparagement towards yourself, and you had to really work to bring yourself out of that mindset. But they watched you do it, and they watched you lay down a very fruitful foundation for yourself and really grow, so much so that you are now intimidating to others, that you've kind of grown so far in a way in a direction that many people could not really anticipate, because when you started out, you were kind of this like wallflower, reserved, really hidden, secretive person with a lot, like I'm hearing that you're likely someone who really enjoys self-disparaging humor. Like you love to put yourself down playfully, but that is an extension of how you truly feel about yourself sometimes. And you really had to work your way out of that pattern to really empower yourself. And they watched you do this, whether they had words of advice for you or whether they just watched from afar your growth and development and prosperity into who you are. So I do think that you've been through a lot of crap, and they watched you evolve and really adapt this Empress energy. So become very abundant, confident, well-rounded, and just potent in your presence. You really had this intense transformation from where you began to where you are now. And they observed this and they watched you go through this process. With the Seven of Cups, there is this element of wish fulfillment. So I don't think that this person made a move towards you or made their intentions known. I do think that a lot of how they felt about you or how they feel towards you was hidden in a wishful space, in a dream-like space, in a fantasy space. In fact, pile 4, I think you have a lot in common with pile 3, so I would check out that pile if this pile resonates, because I'm already starting to see a lot of overlap. And really what is coming through to me quite strongly is that they saw you develop, they saw you grow, they saw you prosper and really set your roots down so much so. Like when you look at these trees, these are like large, towering, bold, red, like incredibly breathtaking trees. They're so tall. And, you know, we all know that it takes years and years and years and years for trees to grow and really get to that height. So I do feel like, I don't think it took you years and years to get to that height, but definitely you put in the work over the years to get that tall, to get that dominating, that confidence that you now possess that really kind of towers over everybody. And I don't think you have a really big ego about it. I don't even think you're self-aware about it, but definitely that is how they view you, as this towering, confident force, at least now. But with that Eight of Swords reversed, I can tell that you have a very long history of being self-disparaging or negative towards yourself, of not knowing that you're going to make it through certain stages of your life, and having a lot of self-doubt and questioning folded into that as well. So the other thing that I'm seeing here, I have Caution as the oracle. I have Friendship as another oracle. Then we have Time for a Nap. And then we have Emotions are running high. Okay. So again, do check out pile 3. I'm already starting to see cards emerge from that pile and repeat here. So you probably would have a lot in common with pile 3. So the sense that I'm getting here with the Caution, Friendship, and Time for a Nap card, again, this to me reiterates that all of anything that they felt towards you, which is clearly a high degree of emotions with this Emotions are running high card, they had to keep inside and internalize because they were being cautious. And I get the sense that you likely are friends, or they wanted to cultivate a friendship first, or maybe you became friends first and there was a resistance to interfering or mucking that up. And the Time for a Nap card, like I said, really speaks to dreaming and fantasizing and really keeping it in this liminal space where it's not being acted on. There's really, you know, I'm hearing kind of like put a cork in it kind of thing. Like it's really being dealt with in a reserved, contemplative, cautious fashion. So I don't think that this person ever let their feelings be known, even though they were intense, and they likely had to sit on them and instead of expressing them. And it could be for the sake of a friendship that they had cultivated with you that meant a lot to them, and they really didn't want to mess it up, because they really wanted you to continue to be close with them. And they were afraid that if they misstepped or started something that fell apart, that they would lose that friendship with you as well. So they did value that element, and they did not want to mess with it, which is to me a sign of very high maturity. This person seems very mature, because usually it's the opposite. People just dive into things not caring that it's going to ruin other elements of their life or other parts of their connection. But this person's quite cautious in that way. So I think this person's very mature and logical as well. And that is what I'm getting from these cards. So let's have a look at how they see you now. We've got the World. Oh, the Worlds. We've got the Two of Cups. We've got the Ace of Wands reversed. We've got the Eight of Wands reversed. Okay. All right. So again, right now, it's clear to me that emotions are very deep. There's likely a mutual attraction between the two of you that is being, again, tempered quite considerably. With the World, I get the sense that you are just killing it. So whatever it is that you're doing, you are just knocking it out of the park. You're just dominating it. Like she's perched, like this figure is perched on top of the World, and she's got her, she's got all of the, it's just, the World symbolizes completion, right? So I get the sense that you, wherever you started off, the battles that you were waging to kind of make a name for yourself, you're really at the completion of that cycle, or at least one of the cycles. And they're now seeing how successful and like what a formidable force you are. And they're really growing in their affection towards you just because you're so inspirational to them as well. And they really like being around you because you like to motivate and inspire them as well. But I get the sense that with the Ace of Wands reversed and the Eight of Wands reversed, again, they're not moving towards you. They're keeping all of this in the liminal space. They're not taking action towards you right now. There's something that's keeping them from doing so. Please check out pile 3, because again, I'm seeing more and more lots of similarities between this pile and that pile. And I get the sense that they're not moving towards you. Again, maybe it is because they're hesitant to ruin the friendship the two of you share, or there's other very important overriding reasons for why they don't want to take a step towards you. Maybe, again, like could be a relationship they're in, or some kind of situationship they're in. It could be something that you are currently in. This could be someone who is not your partner, but you're with someone who is your partner, and you're looking and you're thinking about this person. They're on your mind, and vice versa. Maybe thinking what could have been if one of you did take a step towards you, towards the other. But I do think that ultimately there's no mobility, there's no movement with the Eight of Wands reversed and the Ace of Wands reversed. There's no action. And I can't tell you exactly why that is, but I think that the reason is enough to override these intense emotions that both of you are feeling. And they don't want to mess something up. They don't want to misstep, and I don't think you want to either, even though there is an acknowledgement of all of this going on beneath the surface. But this is all hidden and tucked away. It's not visible to you. You might not even be aware of it. This is all being shrouded. And I get the sense that they're bad at hiding it. Like, I think it comes through, like when you see them with all of this red, I feel like when they're around you, they might blush. They might turn red. They probably wear their emotions on their face quite easily. And I get the sense that they're really bad at hiding it, but they continue to try to hide it because there are overriding, there's overriding elements to this and reasons why they don't want to take a step forward towards you. So let me see here. We've got a fork in the road. Again, this card came up along with emotions are running high for pile 3. So the fork in the road is, I think, like I said, they're not sure how to move towards you. They're not sure if they even should. Then you have abundance, again, with the Empress being present here. It's not a surprise that abundance is present here as well. You are quite desirable. You're quite beautiful. They think you're quite gorgeous and elegant. You have elegance here as well. So you definitely embody that Empress energy quite well with how you present yourself and how they view you. But ultimately, they don't seem to think they can take that step towards you right now, for whatever interfering reasons that may be. But ultimately, they think about you a lot. They think about your beauty. They think about your elegance, how you conduct yourself, how you flow through life. And they are very much drawn towards you, but they just don't think that they can take that step without it being a high risk. And again, with that caution card, I feel like they are very much weighing the risk and reward here. And it's quite a risky endeavor for them. And I think they are somebody who's also very cautious and mindful of how they conduct themselves and how their actions might be interpreted and how those actions might carry into the future and what that would look like. So they are very reserved. But you do have the Fiery Climax Approaches card. So I do think that this person can no longer cork those emotions and tuck them away and keep them tucked away. So I do think that there is something coming up where all of this is going to become more open, apparent, and clear. And it's likely, when it says fiery climax, I feel like it's just going to be one of those moments where, like, it's not going to be a tempered, measured, planned, forethought, induced situation. So I do think that this is something that's going to happen impulsively. There might be a situation maybe where you know, like maybe you're going to be out to dinner, having a glass or two of wine, inhibitions are going to be low, and this is just going to slip out. Or they're going to text you by accident when they were meaning to text somebody else about you. It's going to be one of those moments where the cat's going to be out of the bag. And it's not going to be something that, like, they're making all this effort to premeditate and think and overthink and dream, analyze, focus, and rationalize their actions. But I think when this all comes to a head, it's going to be a highly emotional, sudden moment. Where all of this is going to unfold before the two of you. And it's again, lots of similarities with pile 3. It feels like almost a continuation of pile 3. So I do urge you to check that out, because I do feel like in that pile as well, there was this suggestion that ultimately this is going to boil over and you can't hold it back. It's like holding back a tidal wave. Like, you cannot stop nature, and especially with that Empress card, right, symbolizing nature and the powers of nature and the ebbs and flows of that. And I do feel like it's almost something they cannot contain for much longer, and things are going to boil over soon. And I don't think it, like I said, it's not going to be something where they kind of sit down and draft you an elegant email, check it, recheck it, edit it, go talk to others about it, really think about it, get talked out of it. Then, you know, it's going to be something that happens suddenly, and it's going to just, like, you can't stop it when it starts kind of situation. So that is what I have for you, pile 4. Thank you so much for joining me here today. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you like this video, and I hope to see you again on this channel very soon.